Every year I go back to the painting desk and I pick up a 75mm Mini or something similar. So last year I discovered an Ericsson. So with this, I know I can do a little bit better. And one of the main things is the basing and what I've done around the bottom of the figure. So today we're going to have a look at basing larger miniatures and see if there's some techniques and things we can put across that way. My name's James and welcome to The Distant Vale. And here we have it, the Gladiator miniature from Ericsson. I took this around a couple of workshops and painted in the background. It's just been a little bit of a fun piece I've done over the weeks. Now, with this, it's one of those miniatures that it really needs to have a cool base. He's stood on an awesome rock outcrop. Now, if you're putting a rock outcrop on a wooden plinth, we're really lucky that we've got some wood turners locally that will turn wood plinths for us. You kind of need to start thinking about where we're starting off with. So the plinth itself, that wood's not going to be dark enough. So you take some colour stain. This one is a dark ebony. It's like a really chocolate dark brown colour. And biff, there we go. So you have a nice dark wood. Really nice starting point to start off with. So I've gone ahead and just wrapped some painter's tape, some masking tape around it just so I don't damage it in the coming stages. The next couple of things I'm going to do, firstly I want to glue some like bark and things to it. So we need to actually just scratch the top of the wood so that the adhesive we're using sticks a little bit better. Especially if you're building up layers, it's a really good place to start by just etching it with a hobby knife. Now this in itself, nice and easy, cross hatch it. I thought about using bark, but one of the things I had on hand is this. Basically it's the equivalent of coaster, but this is used in hobby train sets for building like railway bases. So normally you put the railways on top of them. Really easily like attainable from hobby stores or from railway scenic stores. This stuff mixed with a bit of Bondo, F2 contact adhesive is beautiful. Now bearing in mind this stuff is horrifically sticky, really runny, and you'll get it all over your fingers and probably all over your work desk as well. What I'm doing here is just using that cork matting to basically just build up a pedestal for the Gladiator to sit on, and we're going to texture it in the future in a sec. So there you have it, Gladiator on a base. And this is the stage that, yeah, I snapped the sword off, and repeatedly snapped the sword off for the rest of the build, so don't be surprised if you see the sword missing. Next bit is just adding some natural texture. So that cork really doesn't look that natural at all, but using a bit of super glue and some pebbles, a little bit of sand, we can slowly base the miniature a little bit more naturally, and it will make more sense as we move on step by step. This is where you can build kind of whatever base you want by adding things like skulls or different, resin pieces as we go. All I'm doing is dousing it with some super glue, using a mix of sand and then some kraut cover basing scenics. In doing that, what I'm doing is building up natural texture. So we're looking at almost like a sandstone cliff that he stood on the top of. So we want as much texture to be able to paint later on. So now we've got this guy, we're just going to take him away, cover up the Gladiator with some foil and spray prime it black. From that, then we're going to actually paint the base. So I've got a mix of AK Gen 3 paints, black red, hull red, and then some more browns and ochres, so British uniform and ochre khaki Sahara yellow. These are the paints I'm going to mix up. I'm using some airbrush medium by Golden Acrylic and a Colineo X Point, so a nice size synthetic brush. Starting with the dark colours, so those black reds and hull reds at the lower levels and in the crevices that are going to be dark and you can't see. Building that up as we go higher using lighter and lighter colours. Now the reason for the airbrush medium is not as a thinner as such, but more as a retarder. So the reason we use a retarding agent with this is so you can wet blend the entire base as you go. You'll find that when you're trying to paint natural scenes or more organic miniatures or organic bases, the more rough and random it is, the more natural it's actually going to look, because nothing in nature is perfectly uniform. Well, someone's going to correct me in the comments there, I'm sure. But when we're wet blending this through and using the lighter colours as we go higher, we're naturally building in shadows. So as you see, moving on to the khakis and the ochres, what we're doing is adding the light where it's going to land on the tops of the rocks, the different textures, some of the creases in the sandstone rock on the base itself. From that we've got a rough, quite dirty looking base. I'm going to take some ivory and mix it in with one of the lighter colours. Now this is going to look really bad before it looks better, and there's a reason why we're doing this. I'm just picking out the surfaces that the light are looking directly down onto. So yes, as you look at this is going to look incredibly cartoony, but there is a reason, if you bear with me in a few minutes, that we are doing it. It's going to add quite a lot of contrast to the later steps, especially when you're putting it in the right places, just on the actual surfaces the light's coming down onto from the front. Don't worry about it too much from the back, but especially the rocks that are going to be, let's say, uncovered by dirt. It'll make more sense in a sec. And the final stage of me ruining this base is taking an ivory dry brush, and this is picking out the sand that we glued on at the very start. Again, taking it from a series of colours on something to try and pick out texture. Again, looks as though you're ruining the base at this stage, but there is a purpose to it. This time we are going to go on all the raised surfaces all the way around, and after that, the magic. So, Vallejo pigments. You can use any brand, this just happens to be the one that I had at the moment, using a natural sienna. Mixing it with some airbrush thinner. You want this really watered down. We're not adding a huge amount of pigment, we just want to add a light dusting. And using a large synthetic brush, we're just going to add basically the equivalent of a wash, but with pigment. Now in doing this, we're going to return it to a sandstone colour. You know, that's the reason we're using the natural sienna. All of the layers that we've built up with the dark browns through to the ochres, the Sodara yellow and the ivory at the very end is going to then add depth underneath this, and it'll make a lot of sense in a sec when I show you the final photos. You can see the differences with it. The final step's adding some grass tufts, and then we have the final piece. Really interested to see what you think compared to last year's attempt at this. I think it's a massive difference from what it was before. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch today, and if you've enjoyed it, leave us a comment below, drop us a like. If you're not subscribed already, please do, we really appreciate it. It makes all this worthwhile, and hope to see you in the next video.